welcome to the show. I'll do it. I bought a hammer recently because it was daylight and I was sober and I needed a hammer. What you need to do where I live to get a hammer is buy it. You need to go out of my flat, down the stairs, turn right, go past a school, then a church, then a pub, then a couple of cafes, and there's a restaurant, a couple more shops, then a bank, and a hardware store. And that's where I bought the hammer. And I'm not always very good at recognising that me, as I think I am inside my head, isn't always how I might appear to other people not in my head, which is most people. Everything I think's funny about buying the hammer happened just between me and the guy selling it to me. Big claw hammer. Just puts it down on the counter and he goes, there you go. Do you want it in a bag? You're already cleverer than me, socially. Because I just went, no. And then he kept looking at me until it dawned. So the whole conversation went, there you go, do you want it in a bag? No. Oh. Yes. You'll see why, right? I don't need the bag to carry the hammer. But it's not really for me. It's for everybody else. That bag is the bare minimum courtesy I owe to every human being I'm going to go past on the way home, not to be coming at them with a hammer. The bag is what stops having a hammer turning into wielding a hammer. I don't know if you've ever been on a shopping trip and the only thing you bought was a hammer. But if you've got a hammer in a plastic bag, you feel a bit stupid because, you know, bounce against your leg as you're walking, and you know that inside that bag you've got the thing on earth most designed to be held by a human hand, and you're not holding it. You're a fucking idiot. So what you sort of do after a while, you sort of wrap the hammer up in the bag. You hold it by the head for a minute, just to show willing. Pretty soon you're just holding it as a hammer. So now you've got a hammer wrapped in a plastic bag. Trying to think of anything is worse than just having a hammer. Now you've still clearly got a hammer, but now it looks like it's a hammer you don't want to get prints on. It's not safer, right? A hammer as a weapon is a beating instrument, and it's not made less dangerous by being wrapped up in a bag. Beating things still work when they're being wrapped up, which is problem number 1 on my big list of problems with the rules of the game Scissors, Paper, Stone. Never understood that game on any level. I don't even know what it represents. Chess, I understand. That is a war game. There's 2 armies fighting. You rule one of the armies, you decide on your strategy. I do not know what kind of combat situation Scissors, Paper, Stone is. There's 3 of you, choose your own weapons, you have to take a different one each. One of you thought paper was a decent punt. Scissors, I would pick in a real situation. If you're interested in a tip. Take scissors every time. I think it's the best weapon. Some guy with a stone, no, my stone, blunt your scissors. Yeah, if I go for your stone. I've got it, right? Then go for your fucking neck. That's what I'm doing. The only reason I'm going to go for the stone is if it's the sort of stone that sharpens scissors. In which case, ironic death coming your way. If you are the guy with the stone, the paper person, oh, paper wrapped stone. That's the stone deactivated then, isn't it? It's still got a stone. It's just a festive stone. Beat someone to death with a stone wrapped in paper, really just as well as a stone that hasn't been wrapped. How many people have died that way? I don't know. How many people have lost their lives being beaten to death with a paper-wrapped stone, and their last thought on earth was, but I was informed this was impossible! All I'm saying is that game is poor preparation for an actual combat situation. Anyway, I think I mentioned I live near a school. In real life, I did this show at the Edinburgh Festival, and I didn't stay near a school there. But you get to choose your own flat at the Edinburgh Festival, and you get to, like, ask for things that you want. I always have 2 things I don't want. Because I don't want to live next to a school here. It's just the best flat we could afford. It's fucking horrible. If you're a comic living next to a primary school, screaming, wake you up at noon or 1 or whatever. Annoying. At the Edinburgh Festival, you get to ask them things. I always say 2 things I do not want. 1, scaffolding, because there'll be work going on. And 2, I don't want to be near a school because of the noise. And every year I've been put in a flat next to or opposite a school, and or sometimes also with scaffolding. Like twice I've had both. Right? Up until 3 years ago, when I worked out that if you don't want to be put next to a school, what you do is request to be put next to a school. Never been an issue since. You don't even have to make your voice particularly weird. Actually, it's better if you don't. Just pretend you're just slipping. Oh, it's near a school, that'd be good. You got kids? No. Add something if you specify a weirdly exact amount of distance you want the school to be. Like you're trying to break the terms of a court order, or you're reading it off some instructions for binoculars. Maybe within 200 yards of a school, please. Or 100 in fob. Scaffolding if you've got it. I'd like to watch the workmen. But anyway, real life on the national school. The American psychologist Abraham Maslow once said, "When the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem begins to resemble a nail." So I'm walking towards this schoolyard, holding a hammer, right? Oh, it's got a bit tense now. Before we go on, let's change tack just for a second, a little tangent. Do you ever get thoughts in your head? Not the end of the question. Do you ever get thoughts in your head, and immediately after the thought you go, where the fuck did that come from? That can't have been in me. Do you know what it's sometimes they're just mischievous, sometimes they're quite harmless, sometimes, you know, ever been in a taxi and just thought, if I just kissed the cabbie really gently on the side of the face and then looked straight ahead, would he believe it had happened? The answer is often no. You're at a party and no one's spoken to you for a few minutes, you're a bit drunk or bored, and the host's dog wanders next to you, and you think, I could shave that. Where did that come from? I don't really mean that at all. I mean, do you ever have thoughts in your head and immediately afterwards you go, fuck me, thank God, telepathy's not real. I'm so glad nobody heard that. If anybody heard what I just thought, I would be ostracised from society, I could be in jail, I would lose friends, my family would disown me. Well, it just does, right? Do you ever think about killing someone? I don't mean like 12-point plan, you know, I don't mean just sort of planned. I don't mean like premeditated, like drawn on your garage wall. On the 12th of July, I shall become the agent of death. I don't mean that. I mean, it just crosses your mind. As an option. Have you been waiting at a busy crossroads, right? It's really crowded and very, you know, a lot of traffic. And you think, if I just did that, that lady would die. Should be illegal. It is illegal. I've never been waiting on a train platform. And you just, like, you don't think you're going to do it, but you just note as a way your day could go. Shove somebody under the train. I could. It's in my power. Really? Fuck you. I don't believe you. Really? You've never considered murdering a total stranger for no reason at all. What's wrong with you? You're sick. You are psychologically... But you know me way and you see someone, they haven't said anything to you, but they've just got a bit of an annoying face. You can imagine them talking, you look at them and go, I bet you've got some stupid fucking opinions. Haven't heard their voice, but you can just imagine it coming out of their face. Oh, shouldn't keep emotions bottled up, that can cause cancer. Fuck you under the train. Bet you wish you'd kept that one bottled up. walking towards the schoolyard holding a hammer. Before I go on, I am against killing large numbers of children, any numbers of children. I'm just against killing children with hammers. Seems ludicrous even to have to make that clear. I know how easily influenced some comedy audiences can be. I'm against it. I am against killing children with hammers. It's a bad thing. I am against killing children with hammers. And as far as I'm aware, I'm the only comic currently working in the UK who makes that explicitly clear. Stuart Lee weirdly silent on the subject. I would never kill any number of children with a hammer. But it just caught it in my head just for a second. I bet I could take out quite a lot of kids with this before somebody stopped me. As I've made, I think, abundantly clear, maybe overly clear, I never could kill any number of children with a hammer. But I know how I do it. I'm in quite a middle-class area, right? I'd wait till the bell went, you know, they're all lined up obediently, that's when it yeah? A bit horrified, with the blunt end, not an idiot. You can't use the claw, right? So they're stuck in a head, you have to pull it back out. Where's the grace in that? Yeah, I think I can joke about this because there hasn't been a schoolyard massacre in this country for a long time. It's not going to be too raw for anyone here. They're not going to go, oh, a lot of kids were killed with a hammer just yesterday next door to me. That's not going to happen, right? Because they're a lot more popular in America, schoolyard massacres, aren't they? Popular, not really the right word. They get them here. They get them in America. Not so much here. Usually with guns, that's why they have them. It's part of the gun culture. If you think about it, an American schoolyard slaying with a gun is really suicide. But it's the biggest dick way of suicide you can imagine. It's someone thinking, well, I want to take myself out, but no one's going to miss me because I'm a big loser, so I'm going to take some innocent people with me, then I'll get on the news and there'll be grief. Because they know, at the end of their massacre, that they can die, because they can turn the weapon on themselves, or the American police will shoot them dead, because it's their right as an American to die in a hail of bullets. And that, I think, is the point where the hammer plan for schoolyard massacre falls down. Aside from the earlier moral hurdle. I think it's at the point of turning the weapon on yourself. I don't think you can kill yourself with a hammer. Not confidently. You can try it, it might work. I think more likely just knock yourself out. Or you know, get a couple of blows in and then forget what you were doing. I don't want to make this into hack observational stand-up. You walk into a room, you can't remember what you went in for. Like that. But with more dead kids. And a hammer covered in matted hair. Not that that matters, thanks to the bag. No children were harmed in the making of any part of this, right? What happens is I got home with a hammer, giggling. And then I just sort of started typing. And my wife went, oh, what are you typing? I went, oh, I just bought a hammer, I think it might be quite funny. I went, well, how much material can you get out of that? 15 minutes, I think. Anyway, the reason I tell that story is, if you think about it, twice in that story, the inside version of me hasn't matched the outside version of me. Right, first when I'm buying the hammer, it never occurs to me I could look like a psycho. And then walking home, it never occurs to anyone else that I might be a psycho. Right? And I think that's life. I think that's how we go through life. We have a version of ourselves inside, another version outside. Most of us have a sort of airbrush version of ourselves. If we're really honest, we think of ourselves in a way where we have cut quite a lot of the less pleasant or less impressive parts. Men especially, I think. We're very bad at this. Most men have a version of themselves where we just do not accept any of our limitations whatsoever. If somebody came into this room right now and went, "There's a neutron bomb upstairs," and anyone defuse it, I think about a quarter to a third of the men in this room will go, "I'll give it a go." It's the same bit of you that nods while a mechanic is saying things you don't understand. Yeah, alternator, yeah. I assume I could learn all your knowledge in a week. You think we're way cooler than we are. You think most of us think of ourselves secretly as somewhere between kind of a spy and a jewel thief and a secret agent. You know what I mean? We don't all have a name for this alter ego. Mine's called the Debonair Assassin. It's awesome as the Debonair. I'm not him. He's awesome as the Debonair Assassin. Suave, sophisticated, smooth, urbane, witty, possessed of a certain sang-froid. He'd never do anything as gauche as look up synonyms for debonair. Or have to check he was right about what gauche means. He's amazing, the Debonair Assassin, but I am not him. I will never be him. You can't be debonair, not if you're real. Not if you have a body. I mean, we all think of ourselves, like at a wedding, say, there'll be a moment when you look and go, "I scrub up pretty fucking nuts." But then an hour later, there's no dude so swanky I won't eventually fart at him. It's terrifying. Like Bond or whoever, that's one of the big examples. James Bond. I never gave a shit about Bond, really was never much of a fan, but for some men, he's like the ideal. James Bond, he's deadly, he's smooth, he's amazing. Right? Bond, that's edited, right? We see the edited highlights of Bond's life and career without laundry or toilet breaks. Right? I understand why. Like, storytelling, it would be quite poor to leave those in. Then he had a shit. It's not, you know? But Bond, he sleeps with all these women, glamorous women from all over the world, but never washes their pants. I think that makes me a better man than him. But here's the thing, you can't feel debonair washing a woman's pants. I'm going to say something now. It's going to seem sexist in a really old way, and it's not meant that way, so bear with me for a sentence. But I think that men deserve very slightly more respect for doing women's laundry than women do for doing men's. I know how that sounds, and I go, because it's women's work. Fuck that, of course it's not fucking women's work. Do your woman's pants, like washing clothes, whatever. What I mean is, when a woman washes a man's clothes, she is never baffled on an existential level by any item she comes across. There's nothing where she goes, "I have no idea what this is." You're doing a man's laundry, you know what every item is. You go, all right, that's a sock, that's a t-shirt, that is a rag he thinks is still viable as pants. Doing a woman's laundry once every 40 items, 50 items, I'm not going, what's a bra? I know what a fucking bra is, right? Every 40, 50 items, even if it's a woman you know quite well, and if it's not, why are you washing their pants? Every 40 or 50 items, there's something which not only don't you know what it is, but you can't, with all the strength of your imagination, map it onto a human body. No fucking idea what this is. And it's not a hat, I'd have seen it before. It can't be pants, not enough holes. It's just possibly like if spiders wove a Mobius strip out of gold. soap's already sort of dry coming out the washing machine as well. Everything else is wet. It feels vaguely unearthly. What is this? I feel alone and afraid. Is it even a clothe? Is clothe even a singular word? I've considered just burning it. That sounds awful, but that might be the best of my options. Because what if it's not clothes and I wasn't meant to hang it up? That's the worry, right? I'd rather that I just sort of destroyed it and had that slight guilt. My wife went back, Nick, have you seen my manticores? Imagine it in the manticores drawer. I'd rather that, the guilt, than if she came back and went, why have you hung up to dry the leaf of bounce? I thought it was a mysterious feminine thing. Just having a body means you can't be debonair. So all of these fictional characters that we grow up looking up to, you know, all of them, they're never embarrassed by their own body. Their body never betrays them, you know? Like Bond, or the guy from the Bourne films, whatever his name is. Or the Queen, you know. I'll stand by that. The Queen is a fictional character. I mean that, right? I know she's a real woman as well, but as a figurehead, she is no more real than the Cocoa Pops monkey. She's just the face of the brand. She's got something about her, the Queen, you know. I'm not a royalist at all, on any level, you know. But the Queen, she's got a certain mystique, because I was thinking about it. I've known who she is for my entire life, and I know fucking nothing about her. I don't know if the Queen is Stephen Hawking level intelligent, or as dumb as a box of worms, as they say. I've no idea, but that's kind of mystique. Maybe that means she's doing her job well, even though I'd rather she wasn't doing it at all. You know? Prince Charles, none of that, right? He's a fucking idiot. We just know he's just a shaved horse in tweed. But the Queen, I've no idea. That means she is. That gives her a certain something. But I know she shits. She has an arse. I've never seen it, but the reality of her is she shit, because we all do, right? All of us shit, and we all shit sometimes in a way that is terrifying to us and sometimes others around us. Most of us in this room, you must have had a shit once in a while where you go, whoa, I should have waited till I went out and done that in someone else's house. I just haunted my own house. And the Queen must have more than most of those. She's a very rich diet, I'm sure. She must eat a swan once a year, right? Just because she can. I bet she eats a whole swan just to herself, forcing it down. What I know, you know, what I want to know about the Queen is, does she think it's okay to be the Queen? Does that strike her as normal when people bow and scrape and call her Your Majesty and ma'am and walk backwards out of a room because they're not meant to turn their back? Does she go, yeah, that's how it should be. Fucking brilliant. Or does she sometimes go, Majesty? Nothing majestic about what I did to the toilet last night. I took the shanks off Armitage's shanks. Does she ever doubt her own queeniness, do you think? But she's doing a full swan shit. And the Queen is just flexed over the toilet bowl, just trembling, clenched fist like an Olympic skier. Like the sort of shit you've got to keep talking to yourself not to lose consciousness. Come on! She's trying to keep up her own morale. Just the end of what looks like a rudder but is a shitty beak starts to protrude. At that point, do you think, does she ever maybe catch the TV in the next room and there's a memorial service on? She's going, no! That shouldn't happen! No one should die in my name! I'm a fucking animal! That's what I want to know about the Queen. So far, no letters back. Another word for debonair would be self-possessed. But there's a word that none of us can really live up to most of the time, because you don't possess yourself. Your body can do things you had no idea it was going to. You ever had your body just do a thing and you went, whoa, I'm just not in charge of the physical version of me on any level? You ever just yawned in someone's face while they were talking to you and you didn't know you were going to do it? Just sort of, you know, some of you might not have done it. Not everybody's been that tired. There's a kind of tired. Have you ever had jet lag tired? It's a new sort of tired. If you've never had it, it's a sort of tired. It occupies your whole body, and sometimes just, have you ever been so tired you don't know how long your own blinks are lasting? Every blink you go, I could have been now. Or one of those blinks that starts slow and then you're just jolted awake by your own consciousness. What were you just shocked by? My existence? I think I'm too tired to be upright. That sort of tired? But here's my advice to you, right? If you're ever that tired, someone's talking to you, and just about something that seems important to them, but you just can't take it in, but you're sort of nodding because you don't want to be a dick, and you feel the yawn coming, just yawn. Just yawn and then apologise afterwards. Don't do what I do. Because the problem with suppressing a yawn, or trying to suppress a yawn, is that you can nearly do it. But the faces you make trying to suppress a yawn are far more humiliating than just barking unexpectedly in someone's face and then going, I'm so sorry, I'm very tired. They're talking to you and you just sort of start going. You must miss her very much. Don't do it. Do it in her face. Say how else I'm not deaf now. I never know the right thing to say. I never know the right thing to say. James Bond always has a bon mot, just a hilarious one-liner at every party, and I spent a lot of my time through my life trying to find out what the right thing was. And it turns out people don't want you to say it. Truth, not as important as you think it might be socially. Not as popular as you might think. I call myself a skeptic, right? What I mean by that is I believe in the scientific method. I believe in rational inquiry. I believe in evidence. Right? So if you've got something that sounds quite unusual or unlikely, or that goes against all the findings of the Enlightenment and later years, I might need a bit more than just your say-so to believe it. But it turns out that doesn't make you as popular at parties. I've done a lot of reading in my life, and oh, good, that's a myth. Because I used to believe that, you know, once I know the truth about everything, I can helpfully put people right. And then they'll be grateful. But people aren't. They like their bullshit, man. I'll tell you when I realised that this was the case. A friend of mine told me a story. It's a story you might have heard. I will do a very quick version for you. There's a woman with a pet python. And one day the python stops eating. So she calls the vet and she goes, python stopped eating. The vet goes, nothing, leave it, call me if nothing's changed in a week. A week later she calls the vet, goes, still not eating. The vet goes, right, it's probably nothing, but give me a call if there's any change in its normal routine. couple of days later, she calls back the vet and goes, this morning when I woke up, the snake was lying on the bed next to me. It never normally come up on the bed. It was completely up and down next to my body, rigid. And the vet goes, bring him in now, today. I'm going to have to put him down. He's measuring you. Cool story, right? It's not my story, I just got told it, and I remember I heard it and I went, wow, that's awesome. That's cool, that's creepy, it's memorable. And then I thought, what is bollocks? That is bollocks. Just think about it. That can't be how pythons feed in the wild. Befriend a pig. Win its trust, move in with it. And after a while, stop eating the food the pig's been buying it. It can't be like that. So I went to the internet, the repository of all truth, and it turns out, yeah, urban myth. So I go back and tell my friend, thinking he'll be like me. He'll go, oh, brilliant, double win, story and the truth. Because wasn't ruined for me by finding out it was nonsense. But I told him, and he just went, oh, what's wrong? That's not a happy face, according to my flashcards. Why aren't you delighted? Why aren't you delighted with the present of truth I've just given you? He goes, you've ruined my story. And I said, fuck. Is that what I am? I'm the guy who ruins stories. Paper wraps fun. So now I spend an enormous amount of my time trying not to say, that's actually bullshit! It's so hard. It is so hard. Because people are so full of shit. Oh God, people are so... You can't be at any party without people going, do you know, actually, you only have used 10% of your brain. Oh, fuck off! Right? That can't possibly be true. If that was true, how come it always managed to be that 10% that gets damaged? If 9/10 of your brain were completely unused spongy mush that you could do without, do you know what that meant? That would mean you could shoot 10 people in the head at random, and on average, only one of them would fall over. The others would get up saying, oh, ow. Luckily, that bullet passed harmlessly through the part of my brain I use for astral projection. Just so full of it. I was in a conversation recently. This isn't true. I was next to a conversation recently. I was invited to be part, but not on my terms. I overheard the following exchange between two adults who had been to school in the 20th and 21st centuries. One of them said, well, it says in the Vedic calendar that this is a good time for life change. And the other one went, yes, especially for an Aries. What the fuck just happened there, right? Information just was exchanged. And they both nodded like they were both wiser now. Yes. Those aren't even the same system of bullshit. That's like one person saying, I was kidnapped by the Yeti, and someone else going, I'm also a Muslim. I believe strawberries are unlucky. The force be with you. I agree. And I just sat there with like a champagne bottle full of scepticism. Don't say anything, don't say a thing, be nice, be polite, put up the shit, just store it up and spew it out later to an audience. Then the food arrived and one of them wouldn't eat it because said it's not natural. Yeah, we knew that when you ordered it. It's a pizza. Man-made. No, but it's got milled flour. It's got refined flour. It's not natural. It was a Hawaiian pizza. Flour is the least unnatural thing. I mean, a Hawaiian pizza, we invented that on every level. That wasn't, discovered in a garden once by Dr. Bertrand Pizza. Let's not. don't know what's happened to the pig, but it looks delicious. It's fallen through the sky, through a pineapple patch, and picked up mushrooms on the way. How it's ended up on that disc of flour. Perhaps it's Python friend. I don't know. Have you ever done that? Do you ever do that with food? You've got a plate of food in front of you. Do you ever think what it would take in nature for that food to end up together? Maybe you've never done it before. You will now. It's a bit of a head fuck. Because so much of the stuff we think just goes together, that's just cultural programming. Fish and chips. Those old friends. Potatoes, noble vegetable of the deep. We even use some phrases to mean go well together. They go together like peaches and cream. If peaches and cream ever got together in the wild, something horrific has happened, right? A rancid, squirty cow has wandered through the orchard. Surf and turf has to be the worst one, right? Something like, like a steak with prawns on it. That is an end of days scenario. Tidal wave is the only way I can think. Either cow suicide or tidal wave. Surf and turf is a post-tsunami meal. You can't get cold these days without people coming out of the woodwork with their nonsense. You sniff in front of people and they go, oh, have some echinacea. Have a Barocca. Because I'm quite a nice guy, I usually say something like, no, I won't do that because there's been tested in double-blind, placebo-controlled trials by scientists and they do fuck all for you. Of course, what they reply is, oh, well, thanks for putting me right, I'll never use my money so badly again. No, they don't do that, obviously. Usually what they say is something like, no, those trials are wrong. Got your own lab, Barry. Tell you how I know it works. I had a cold. I took some echinacea. Then my cold was gone within 4 to 18 days. Thank you for not needing that explaining to you. No idea. Some places go, oh, sounds good. Yeah. Of course it's gone. It's fucking cold. That's what colds do. They go away in a week or two. If you've got a cold that's still there after 6 months, it's not a cold. It's AIDS. Here's your cold. Here's your cold. 3, 4, 5 days and it starts to get better. Like, whatever you do at this point will look like it cures the cold. Right? And you're looking for a cold cure, so you'll associate the two. But just anything would do that, right? So if you just stick bits of bread in your eye, your cold will get better. Whack onto a hedgehog, your cold will improve. If you've got a friend like that, next time they get a bit of a sniffle, just call them up on the phone and make up any nonsense off the top of your head. All of a sudden you've got a bit of a tickly cough. A runny nose as well. What you need to do, every morning, at 8:45 AM, exactly, for 1 minute, no longer, rest your balls on some cheese. You'll be gone in a fortnight. And it will. They never get it. They just call you back after about 10 days. That cheese thing really worked. You just need to have AIDS. I think it was my mum made me into a skeptic. Not on purpose, but I'll remember till my dying day. I always remember the moment when the universe sort of opened up and you should challenge some stuff. I was about 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and I had been told about the buttercup effect. Do you know the thing? Like a buttercup, little yellow flower, you hold it under someone's chin, and if it turns yellow, that means they like butter. I'm not telling you this as information. Don't believe this now. It lacks what I refer to as a plausible mechanism. But that was the thing, and I went, I was 4. An adult tells you something when you're 4, you go, oh, thanks. I assume this has been checked. What am I doing? I did it for everyone. Oh, you like butter, you like butter. I had spare buttercups on me for about a fortnight. That must have been adorable / unbearable. And after a while, my mum just had to sit me down and go, listen, stop doing the buttercup thing. But my chart's almost complete. So far, 99% of people like butter. Yeah, well, that's going to be the number you'll end up with, yes. It's nonsense. No, it's not. It turns yellow. I can say, yeah, but it's always going to turn yellow. It's just the flour reflected off the skin. Mrs. Gunn down the road hates butter. Her chin's still going to turn yellow. And that was the moment. That was the exact moment. Because I immediately could see, oh, that is far more plausible than the magic flour-liking butter story. Immediately, so obviously, oh yeah, that's true, isn't it? But it was still a, but no, because Granny told me, well, yeah, adults sometimes say things that aren't totally true. but why? Well, just because sometimes grown-ups make up stories makes life easy to understand or more fun. Just, less complicated. Now come to church. Still have it in me. Everyone does. We all have some pieces of nonsense. I wish I knew I got rid of all of it, but there's some stuff. Well, give me a cheer if you drink. Yeah. Give me a cheer if you've got a favourite drink. Come on. We like drink generically, but we're less keen on our favourite drink. Very peculiar. I prefer just to drink. Who likes labels? Liquid and accidents. Who cares about? There's the thing, that's something a lot of people associate with, oh, I'm a red wine drinker, I'm a lager drinker, I'm a bitter drinker. And quite often, people insist that they have a taste in alcohol. And you can kind of do your own little pub experiment. Like, you might be the person sent for a round, and sometimes people are slightly dickish about it. They go, oh, it's got to be that lager, please. I only like that one. That was disgusting. That was nice. That was horrible. So not that one, but that one was nice. And then you get back with 6 drinks, and they can never tell by taste which one's theirs. Oh, now, which one's mine? The one you like, according to you. Oh, and I'm not sure. No, that one's coffee, you dick. Sometimes they got a reason they can't have a particular beer, I better not have Stella. It's wife beater, isn't it? Wife beater Stella. Better not have that. 15 pints of Kronenberg, please. Then she's safe. Fuck you, man. That is not wife beater, that is a premium Belgian lager. You're a wife beater. You're blaming the beer on your horrible behaviour. If the only thing standing between you and hitting your wife is a beer, you don't get a beer. You get water and counselling in the morning, you piece of shit. Notice that Stella and wife beater, that's the only example. That's the only example of a make of beer that's got a particular bad behaviour associated with it. You never hear people go, well, I better not have Leffe. It's gassy, it makes me chant racist songs. Couldn't walk me home, could you, mate? I've just had a pint and a half and wanked through a church letterbox. Pedo frenzy? I shouldn't. We don't know what we're drinking. Don't know what we're eating either, most of the time. Ever since the horse meat scandal, all that stuff. And I like talking about the horse meat scandal even still now, partially because people think of it as old news. There is a thing when we stop talking about something, we imagine it's gone away. Like sometimes people say things like, oh, do you remember the 80s when there were nuclear weapons? Then that was solved by Rocky IV. Like that with horse meat. People go, oh, do you remember the horse meat scandal? Remember that? Remember there was horse in the food? It was in all the papers, we found out about it, and now I assume they've removed it. That's how we think it goes. We imagine they went, oh, you found out about the horse, let's get rid of the horse. Never saw that headline. Horse removed from food. If that event happened, that would be front page news. I think they just went, found out about the horse. Enjoy your horse. Remember the first time you heard the phrase traces of horse? Wow. It's going to be very difficult to remove all the horse from the food chain. So would it be all right with traces of horse? I have a lot of problems with that entire idea. First of all, how is it difficult to remove a horse from anything? You don't have to remove it, just don't let it in. You know, I cook for myself most days. I've never had horse contamination been an issue in any recipe I've attempted. And that's the broccoli, right? You know what I mean? Number one. Number two, traces of horse. I'm not having that, not as a phrase. For me, there's a class of things you can have traces of, and a horse isn't one of them. Like, if it can fit effortlessly into a description of a fine wine, I'll have it. That's a trace. Traces of elderflower, vanilla, just notes of horse, clowns. You can't have traces of horse. Right, you can have no horse. Or a horse. Or shitloads of horses. Traces of, like a horse is a wispy, gossamer creature. Subtle, aren't they, horses? Never sure if there's one in a room. Go home tonight, look under your bed. Either there is no horse at all under there, or there is way more horse than you had any right to expect. Well, it doesn't even affect me, because I don't eat beef, I've recently discovered. I used to eat a lot of frozen meals. I ate them for about how long? Thank you for laughing at all at that. That's a stupid fucking joke, and I'm very aware of it. Thank you for giving it anything. That's a very lonely joke to do to silence. There's no styling your way out of that one. What's it doing? I don't know. Why is the word Debonair in the title of the show? That's a good idea. It's something we need. The whole horse meat thing, were you shocked by it? When it came out? Because they got all the horse meat scandal. I wasn't scandalised. Oh, there might be horse in the food. I went, yeah, bet there is. Absolutely bet there is. I bet there's human. I don't. Of course there is. Some people went, oh my God, did you read there might be a bit of an animal you weren't expecting in your frozen meal? It says bird's eye on the packet. Lucky dip, mate. You know what I mean? Of course there's a lot of food is just suspiciously cheap. Just far too cheap. I'm not saying don't eat cheap food. Times are very tough, you know. People have a lot less money than they used to. Some people using food banks getting a lot of use. I saw an advert the other day, sperm bank. You'd have to be starving. Just think, if you break it down, Tesco value burgers, like £1.25 a burger, something like that. I'm not saying don't eat them. Go ahead, eat them. I'm just saying if your burger costs £1.25, any complaint you may have has been taken care of already in the price. Your burger is that cheap. You know full well that meat was pressure hosed off the front of a train. You know that, right? It's too cheap. I would rather it was free. Free is less suspicious than too cheap. Do you know what I mean? Something's free, you kind of different alarm bells. You don't get the same kind of. All right, example, laser eye surgery. Imagine somebody offers you laser eye surgery. You go, how much is it? It's free. You'd be all right with that, yeah? Right, thanks NHS. If they go, it's £3.50. No thanks. You're not a real doctor, are you? Do you ever read a news story and then note that you're not having quite the correct emotional reaction to it? You ever read a news story and you think, I should feel a slightly different way about this? It's something we need, I think, that we don't have. There's no word for when you read in the news, there's no word for the emotion when you read in the news that somebody you already hated might be a paedophile. You know what I mean? Like, it's, on the surface of it, should be a horrendous story. You go, oh, how awful. Because you already hated them, there's a bit of, there's a little bit of, I knew it. You know, you get a little bit of, not pleasure, but I knew it, knew it was a wrong one. No, you didn't. You just hated his snooker-based game show. There's no name for that emotion. It should be totally negative. There's a little bit positive in it. No name in English, probably German. Schadenkinder. Because we're not built for it. We just want all of our biases just reconfirmed. What was that? You're correcting the German, because I know it's wrong. Well, he should be kinder-friendly. Anyway. Slightly spectrum-y heckle put down. You know what I mean? Because we're such kids. We're such kids, we can't deal with someone having any complexity. We want our villains totally evil and our saints totally good. And any mixture, we go, oh, I don't know what to think now. I think that's why people still bring up to you that Hitler was a vegetarian. Like it's meant to blow your mind. Not even true, by the way, just another urban legend. But so what? Either way, who gives a shit? Hitler. Settled on my opinion of Hitler a long time ago. But people go, oh yeah, you know Hitler. Veggie. As though you're meant to go, well, now I'm not sure what to think. I don't care. Like somebody completely evil can have some things about them that aren't totally evil, right? He might have smelled delicious as well. Perhaps he was a lovely dancer, just one of the fastest knitters in Nuremberg. I don't really know. I don't give a shit. Right? They're not connected. It's not like one thing led to the other, right? Am I supposed to change how I feel about vegetarians? Not like you're reading Hitler's diary, but you've never heard of him before. Monday, breakfast. Veggie breakfast, as I won't eat wheat. He is going to kill a lot of Jews by the afternoon. Knew it, fucking veggies. Really? It's supposed to blow your mind? There's one man in history who preferred cows to Jews? Okay, alright, that phrase needs some addressing, doesn't it? Preferred cows to Jews. If there's anyone here studying for a history exam and it's coming up and you were asked briefly to sum up the life and later career of Adolf Hitler, I cannot recommend the phrase preferred cows to Jews. It's not probably doing quite the work, is it? Technically correct, but seems you're emphasising slightly the wrong. You've gone weird now. I disagree. I think Hitler was wrong. No. Said it. You've got your own opinions, right? I think Hitler was wrong. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only comic on the UK who explicitly makes that clear. Stuart Lee. I prefer Jews to cows. If it comes up. As often. There was one barbecue last year. There's a big fire going here, and quite a lot of beef here, and a Jewish friend of mine here. But if I'm honest with you, I wasn't even really aware of the dilemma. That is how not Hitler I am. I love this material so much. For reasons I find hard to explain. Partially, one of the reasons I love it is because as an audience, there is no right noise for you to make. There really isn't. I mean, they're just... I don't care if you've studied being an audience since you were babies. There is no appropriate noise when someone in a comedy context goes, I didn't think about burning juice. And you can't boo. That makes you nuts. But I think applause would be too much. Well done. Sort of a minimal entry level. Not believable. Take my point there, right? We're not good with complexity. We're not good with someone who's mainly evil, bit of good, mainly good, bit of evil. If we liked them, we don't like finding out there's something awful. That's why people were really dumbfounded about Rolf Harris. When all the news about Rolf Harris came out, people were, oh no, not Rolf. Don't you mean not anyone? You say not Rolf, what you're saying there is, couldn't those kids have been fucked by somebody with a less kindly face? I don't do a lot of telly. Most shows, I like to give myself an excuse, right? Every show, I have one line where I can look back and go, that'll be why I don't telly. One line. And then feel better about myself. Just that one joke. It wasn't that joke. It's this one. I hate knee-jerk reactions. Hate them. Hate knee-jerk reactions. And as a comic, you get them a lot. I hate knee-jerk reactions. Sometimes I even get knee-jerk reactions to the way I spell the word knee-jerk. So I spell it. N-I-G-G K-K-K. That is the edgiest dyslexia joke you will ever hear in your life. I appreciate the smattering applause, but you do not have to. I understand if you don't want to. You should feel weird about it. On one level now, I'm just trying to upset you for my own amusement. But on another level, I kind of want to talk about that word, not knee-jerk, the other one. Right? Because people do have knee-jerk reactions to it, and it's not good enough, right? We have to look not just at word, not just at language, but at content and intent. Otherwise, we're not dealing with these problems, right? The word nigger is a horrendous word, with a horrendous past. But it doesn't magically contain all of racism in itself, right? There's a problem with, we have it sometimes, people come out and they get offended because they have a kind of catch net in their heads, so they don't think about what you're saying. What they think is, well, to shortcut that, I'm going to have a set of words, and if I hear that word, I'll be offended. And that, in good, we used to have it with the word paedophile, right? I used to do it in the clubs, if I had the word paedophile, and I'd say the word, and it would tense up, and to relax it, I'd go, do we have any in? Normally relax it a bit, except one night in Liverpool, where someone went, no, we fucking hate them here. Of course, it's Bolton where they're popular. But there's a thing, right? That word, it's a horrendous word, a horrendous history, but if you stamped it out tomorrow, you wouldn't be stamping out racism. Right? There was a big story that happened in the press this year. Jeremy Clarkson, right? He was caught on camera, they were filming him but not for broadcast, and he was choosing between two vehicles and went, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's what he did, right? Now, there's an old racist version of that rhyme. And let's face it, that'll be the one Jeremy Clarkson knows. Right? But there are other versions. There shouldn't have been any trouble about it. He didn't actually say nigger, but people went, he sort of almost did! It's what he was meaning to say before he mumbled, because we know him well enough, right? There's versions, catch a tiger by the toe is what kids do nowadays, or apparently catch a spider by the toe. which is weird. Spiders don't have toes. Well, we have to choose between racism and accuracy. But anyway, he went, and the tabloid press went mental. Oh, you should be hounded from his job. The BBC should be disgraced, even though it wasn't broadcast on the BBC. And in some way, we now shouldn't have a licence fee. That's definitely connected. Right? And the thing is, I kind of like to defend Clarkson on the most minimum possible level, right? Like, I'm not going to say he's not a racist, because he might be a massive fucking racist cunt. So there you go. That's my defence of him. But he might be a massive big old racist, but I don't think he was being racist there. One, because he didn't really say it. And two, because there's a difference between starting a rhyme, remembering too late that the rhyme has a word you shouldn't say, and then mumbling your way embarrassedly through it. There's a difference between that and chanting that word confidently while maintaining unbroken eye contact with Ian Wright. If anything, when he did it to me, Clarkson had more the air of a man who starts singing Happy Birthday, remembers on the second line he can't remember the person's name that he's singing Happy Birthday to, and then on the third line, remembers that their name is a horrific racial slur. But the reason, apart from the fact I don't really think he was being racist then, the other reason I want to call hypocrisy on this is at the same time, the tabloids were trying to hound Clarkson out for being pretend, almost sort of mumbled racist. A party full of fucking racists won the European election in this country, and the tabloids were absolutely fine with that. It always gets weird here, people go, oh, you can't call UKIP racist. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying UKIP is a racist party. It's got some racists in it, but it wouldn't be fair to extrapolate to the whole group, right? Just by some bad apples. That would be as bad as pretending all Romanians are criminals just because some pickpockets are Romanian. What kind of cunt would do that? Oh yes, Farage. I'm not going to call Farage a racist. I'm not saying he necessarily is a racist. I can't know. He's not a racist. Also, a can of Coke isn't a wasp. A lot of them seem to swarm around whenever it's got its hole open. Not too depressed though about the UKIP win, because they won a tiny minority. Up until, did you notice, up until the Scottish independence referendum, pretty much every major vote in this country could have been decided the other way if all the people who didn't vote turned up and voted, right? There's no vote, no matter you thinking, oh, it's fucking hopeless, there's nothing that's hopeless, and you should vote. Fucking, the Scottish referendum, I would have voted yes, that's the one I had. I had some sympathies to yes, but you know, whatever, they went the way they went. The no vote seemed a bit fear-based to me, so we don't know how it's going to work. You know, I've taken a lot of pills in my time, which I didn't know what they were going to do. Normally fucking great time, right? Just the idea that what made it tempting for me was the idea of a big red button that would be bye-bye Tories forever. That would have been a very hard button not to push. But fuck it, I'm glad they're still here. Vote. Please, just fucking vote. I know it feels hopeless, but I can't be with Russell Brand. Oh, you shouldn't vote, nah, it's pointless. I agree that Russell Brand shouldn't vote. No. Yes, they're too similar, they're too much the same, they're too corporate, they serve the same interests, but fuck it, if enough of us vote, they might have to listen to us. I feel hopeless, just like anyone else, man. I'd still vote, though. I vote these days for the same reason I would punch a bear that was eating me. Don't think it'll make much difference to the overall outcome. At least that way it doesn't look like I want to be eaten by a bear. That's nearly it. I'm nearly there. So, let's try a conclusion, shall we? I think the reason that we need the Debonair Assassin, the reason we hold ourselves up to stupid fictional ideals that we do as guys particularly, is that we start as little boys, and you start as little girls, you grow up, and then, you know, if you're a straight guy, girls become women in front of your eyes, and we don't become men. We go through a weird sort of stig of the dump phase. We go through a really awful, unfuckable phase at just the time we want to start being fucked. You know, you become these amazing, you know, sophisticated, fantastic looking. We go, hello, will you go out with me? I think I've got pubes. I'm a scobbit. It's like a hobbit, but not as good. What the fuck that meant? You know, and you shouldn't. You know, you're a girl of that age, if you're 15 and female and 15 and male comes up and you should go, no! You're fucking disgusting! You smell and you're greasy and you wank all the time. And we really do. We really do, man. Just, oh, so much, you have no idea. I mean, you think, oh, they wank all, you have no fucking clue. Just come on. If you find about a few a day, they've always got a problem. No, he's just normal. You have so much. But what you don't understand is that age, if you're a guy and you're a teenager, you have to do it at least twice a day or it comes out your eyes. The first time I ever read one of those magazines, like female magazines. The first time I ever read one of those women's magazines, I had like tips on masturbation. Oh, it's your lovely time, it's your time, your gentle, delicate time. Foam bath and candles and Enya and incense. Fuck, that's nothing. It's not on the same planet as us at 15. And what would it? They don't even give us advice. What would it be? Not too tight. Find a hedge. The urgency of it. And I know I was not okay with that when I was a kid. I was raised Catholic, right? I went to a Catholic school, a school called Our Lady and the Tramp. Just the urge, but then the guilt. Just my biggest fear at that age was my mum would walk in and find me. And I'd go, no! Oh God, now you know what I am! I'm a filthy, disgusting creature! I don't deserve your love! I'm no better than the Queen! Shouldn't do that! Your mum walks in and you go, this is for your own good, woman! I'm doing this now so it doesn't go off in your face at dinner! This is health and safety! You should thank me! You should help me! No, you should thank me! It's not the same now, it isn't the same. I hit 40 last year. I still do it occasionally, but it's not with the same urgency. I can't remember the last time I thought, I'm going to have a wank. I have quite often thought, I seem to be having a wank. There it goes. Most of my wanks these days are just fidgets that got out of hand. I got married just coming up to a couple of years ago, and no kids yet. Really, hammer boy? But it genuinely was the happiest day of my life. My wedding day. It had this effect. It was able to transcend time. It beamed happiness and love and romance through in both directions in time into other days, because getting engaged meant this day could go backwards through time and make us just a new thing. It's very hard to explain, but things that shouldn't be romantic became romantic just because they're the first time we're doing them as an engaged couple or as man and wife. Are stupid things. It's our first cheese together as man and wife. First time I've woken up in a hedge next to you. You don't need to know this, but you're going to. On our wedding night, I was on the toilet with the door open in the hotel room, and I heard myself shout, "This is my first poo as a married man!" Not to be disgusting, just because it really was. And my wife went, "Yay!" Ran in and kissed me, and then ran out quite quickly. I had for ages. A week went by, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks went by, just 4 weeks. She went out, knew she was going to be a couple of hours. Leaving on my own. I found myself having that thought. This is my first wank as a married man. It's not a happy thought. I still have the guilt on some level. Nothing makes you feel more mortal, more sure that you will definitely die one day without ever wearing a cape for any legitimate reason. Nothing makes you feel less like a debonair assassin. And when you find yourself 40 years of age, scraping dried jism off a wedding ring,